esteemed brother, Honorable Justice Pankaj Naqvi, Srimati Samina Naqvi, my sister and brother judges, learned senior advocates, other members and office bearer of the bar, officers of the registry, ladies and gentlemen. We have assembled here to bid farewell to Justice Pankaj Naqvi on his retirement from an prestigious career. Born on 22nd August 1959, Justice Naqvi completed his schooling from St. Joseph's College, Allahabad, obtained his LLB degree from Campus Law Center, Delhi in 1984 and was enrolled as an advocate on 24 January 1985. Initially, he started his practice at District Court, Bareilly, and in 1988 shifted his venue of practice to Allahabad High Court. Justice Naqvi got married to Srimati Samina, a social and cultural activist, apart from earlier being principal in various schools of Allahabad and blessed with two children, Sania and Aman. During his practice, Justice Naqvi represented several organizations and institutions, including Banaras Hindu University, Election Commission of India, IFCO, Rohilkhand University, and others. On 21st November 2011, Justice Naqvi was elevated to the bench as an additional judge and was made a permanent judge on 6th August 2013. Justice Naqvi has always been acknowledged for being pleasant and upfront person. He is also an outstanding and hard-working judge, known for giving a patient hearing to everyone, which reflects in his landmark judgment. This has also resulted in deep admiration, abounding affection, and respect from the members of the bar. On the administrative side, Justice Naqvi served as a member as well as chairman of several committees of this court. He has also discharged his responsibility as administrative judge of several districts of the state and also as member of administrative committee. Brother Naqvi has thus shown constant and resolute commitment to institutional development on the administrative side as well. During his tenure, he passed several important judgments, including Salman Ansari's case on the issue of interfaith marriage and safeguarding fundamental rights, Satyavat Ray's case on the issue of rights of life, convicts for the premature release, and Jishan Ali's case on the issue of dignity of accused person. The list of fine judgments authored by Justice Naqvi speaks about the dedication which he carried in his constitutional duty while remaining conscious of the social realities. The duty of the courts is to do justice while exhibiting fairness, respect and dignity to the people who come before it. The judge is the fulcrum on which our entire judicial system balances, which in turn is the cornerstone of a domestic nation. He has always exhibited a paramount standard of ethical conduct and has stood out. In the meeting and during discussion, Justice Naqvi had never hesitated in giving his views and frank opinions. His opinions were always being regarded by the brother judges. Apart from above quality possessed by Justice Naqvi, many of you may not be aware that he is a wonderful player of tennis and a great sportsman. And early in the morning, he is being found in the tennis court. As he prepares to depart from this court, I have to say that we will miss you, Brother Naqvi. At the end, therefore, I would only like to quote Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "There are no goodbyes for us. Wherever you are, you will always be in our hearts." In the last, I would like to say that since Justice Naqvi is retiring from this constitutional institution, he will have full time and energy to fulfill his other goals, including social responsibilities. I wish him and his entire family a very happy, healthy and enjoyable retirement life.
On behalf of the central government, I am here, my lord. माननीय वरिष्ठ न्यायमूर्ति तथा माननीय न्यायमूर्तिगण तथा साथियों, आज का ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा समय माननीय न्यायमूर्ति पंकज नकवी जी को समर्पित करते हुए संक्षेप में अपनी भावना व्यक्त करूंगा। माननीय न्यायमूर्ति पंकज नकवी जी का कार्य अत्यंत सराहनीय रहा है। मैं केंद्रीय सरकार तथा केंद्रीय सरकारी अधिवक्ताओं की तरफ से आपके अवकाश प्राप्त करने के उपरांत आपके मुक्त सुखमय व स्वास्थ्यपूर्ण जीवन की कामना करता हूँ। सादर
My Lord, Honorable Justice Pankaj Naqvi, Honorable Judges on the dais, Learned Assistant Solicitor General, Shri Gyan Prakash ji, President Allahabad High Court Bar Association, Shri Amrinath Singh ji, President Advocates Association, Shri A.D. Saunders ji, my esteemed senior advocates and my colleagues at the bar, officers of the registry, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered here to bid adieu to a personality who possessed the traits of not only being a good judge, but also a very good human being that made him popular with members of the bar. The edifice of an institution rests upon the mutual trust and confidence between those who constitute the bar and those who constitute the bench. Reposing faith in a judge is the caliber which a judge assures after adorning the office. They do so by keeping the court open to deliberations and ensuring that such deliberations happen freely and without any hesitation. Justice Naqvi, during his entire tenure on the bench, has been very popular with the bar and has made every lawyer comfortable to place the submissions before him. With his inspiring style of working, Justice Naqvi has always expressed his mind and called upon lawyers to openly debate upon the issues that fell for consideration before him. He has been courteous and polite, and in his usual flair has made his court and himself accessible to every litigant. The said qualities of Justice Naqvi will remain etched in our hearts and will be fondly discussed in the corridors of this court for times to come. Justice Naqvi has been quite erudite in his judgment writing, and the vision possessed by him has clearly established beyond doubt that he is progressive in his thoughts. He has delivered landmark judgments that reflect such progressive approach both on the civil side as well as on the criminal side. By virtue of the various landmark pronouncements authored by Justice Naqvi, the Allahabad High Court has made news throughout the country. It is due to his judgments that this court has become a pioneer on issues dealing with the law relating to personal liberty of the individual under our Constitution. The law has to evolve with changing times. There is only one law which can be said to be settled, and that is law of change. The law does not remain static. It needs to transform itself according to changing needs of the society and its welfare. The existing laws are to be duly interpreted and the new laws are to be framed. It is only a visionary who can guide the system, and the vision of a judge of the superior judiciary reflected in their judgments is the beacon light for putting our house in order. I must take this opportunity to say that experience goes a long way in the making of a good judge. This making of a good judge further depends on the persons with whom they have associated themselves while having been lawyers and what experience was passed on to them from their seniors. I take pride in saying that Justice Naqvi has been associated with late B.B. Upadhyay ji, Senior Advocate and former Advocate General of UP, who had a varied experience and who himself, much like Justice Naqvi, was a great visionary. In his private life, as far as I know Justice Naqvi, right from the time when he was practicing here as an advocate till date, he is a thorough gentleman, soft-spoken, and has compassion for people in their distress, and is a great friend of friends. I wish Justice Naqvi a very happy and healthy retired life, and I do hope that much like until now, his intellectual contributions will continue to benefit the entire legal fraternity for the times to come. Thank you.
माननीय वरिष्ठ न्यायमूर्ति, माननीय न्यायमूर्तिगण, माननीय न्यायमूर्तिगण, भारत सरकार के अपर महान्यायमूर्ति, एडिशनल एडवोकेट जनरल, एडवोकेट्स एसोसिएशन के प्रेसिडेंट, उपस्थित सभागार में दीदियों, माननीय पंकज नकवी, इलाहाबाद हाईकोर्ट लोकतंत्र की एक सबसे बड़ी व्यवस्था है और आज उसके एक सदस्य जिनको न्यायिक दायित्व मिला वह अपने इस न्यायिक दायित्व से अवकाश प्राप्त कर रहे हैं। मैं समझता हूँ कि हमारी समृद्ध वार के एक महत्वपूर्ण सदस्य को न्यायिक कार्य के लिए और इस दायित्व के लिए चुना गया और माननीय पंकज नकवी जी इस दायित्व को बिना भेदभाव, बिना किसी राग द्वेष के जो न्यायिक पैमाने हैं उनके अनुसार सफलतापूर्वक निर्वहन किया। यह उनके लिए और हम सबकी बात के लिए गर्व की बात है। माननीय नकवी जी के यहाँ जो एक दैवी दायित्व उनको निर्वहन करने का अवसर मिला, मैं समझता हूँ कि उच्च न्यायालय के अधिवक्ता और वादकारियों को निश्चित रूप से यह संतोष होगा कि उनके न्यायालय में अपना पक्ष रखने में उन्हें कभी भी कोई तनाव महसूस नहीं हुआ। जिस सद्भाव और सहृदयता से उन्होंने अपने न्यायिक दायित्व का निर्वहन किया वह हम सब के लिए अनुकरणीय है और न केवल यह समय की भी आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि यदि किसी तनावपूर्ण माहौल में अगर कोई कार्य किया जाए तो निश्चित रूप से वह कार्य अपनी उच्च कोर्ट नहीं प्राप्त करता और उसमें कहीं न कहीं कोई दोष आता है। आज से 20 वर्ष पूर्व, लगभग 22 वर्ष पूर्व जस्टिस नकवी जब अधिवक्ता के रूप में मेरी पहली बार उनसे पहचान हुई, इनके दोस्त जो यहाँ के न्यायमूर्ति रहे शशिकांत गुप्त जी, वो हम लोगों के भी शुभचिंतक थे, उन्होंने परिचय कराया। जिस भाव और व्यवहार से उस 20-25 साल पहले उनसे मुलाकात हुई उसमें कहीं भी मैंने परिवर्तन नहीं पाया और मेरी बात में भी नहीं पाया। यह हम लोगों के लिए गर्व की बात है कि उन्होंने अपने न्यायिक दायित्वों का निर्वहन बड़ी निष्पक्षता से और बड़ी सहजता से किया है। मैं उनके परिवार के लिए उनके अनुभवों का आगे भी हम सबको लाभ मिलेगा इस उम्मीद के साथ आज जो दायित्व पूर्ण कर रहे हैं वह निश्चित रूप से विदा जरूर हो रहे हैं, लेकिन वो हमारे हृदय से नहीं विदा हो रहे हैं, हमारी आवश्यकताओं से विदा नहीं हो रहे हैं। मैं उनके लिए उज्जवल भविष्य की कामना करता हूँ। जय हिंद। Honorable State Judge, Justice Pankaj Naqvi, Honorable Mr. Justice Pankaj Naqvi, Honorable Judges, Sri Shashi Prakash Singh, Additional Solicitor General of India, Sri Manish Goyal, Additional Advocate General of Uttar Pradesh, Sri Amrendra Singh, President, High Court Bar Association, respected members of the family,
members of the registry, respected senior advocates, members of the bar. Almost a decade has gone by when Your Lordship took oath as an additional judge of this court on 21st of November 2011. Thereafter as a permanent judge on 6th of August 2013. Before Your Lordship's elimination, Your Lordship had vast experience of practicing in this court, having been enrolled as an advocate on 14th of August 1985 and practiced mainly on the civil side. During Your Lordship's tenure as a judge of this court, a large number of judgments have been delivered by Your Lordship. These judgments, details of which would be too time-taking, have a common fundamental foundation which discloses that stereotypical understanding and self-imposed restrictions were never an obstacle in dispensation of justice. Majority of Your Lordship's judgments have a leaning towards protection more than prosecution, while at the same time delicately balancing the two in the scales of justice. The first and foremost quality required in a judge is integrity. Your Lordship is integrity personified. Outside court gatherings, Your Lordship always mingled with the lawyers, gently reminding them that he too was a lawyer before being elevated. One always felt comfortable in Your Lordship's presence, particularly as Your Lordship also have an astute sense of humor. In one of the celebration parties in the room, in fact it was a farewell party given by some of the lawyers, where Your Lordship was also there. And I quote Your Lordship, "A judge never retires, he only relinquishes office." Unquote. I, on behalf of the Advocate Association, with a heavy heart, bid Your Lordship farewell.
Honorable the Senior Judge, Shri Pritinka Divakar Ji, dear brothers and sisters on dais, Shri Gyan Prakash Ji, the Additional Solicitor General, Shri Manish Goyal Ji, the Additional Advocate General, Shri Ambarendra Nath Singh, President High Court Bar Association, Shri A.D. Swandal Ji, President Advocate Association, learned senior advocates, and distinguished members of the bar. At the very outset, I would like to place on record my sincere thanks to Honorable the Acting Chief Justice and to Honorable the Senior Judge for taking this initiative of organizing this event, given the challenging times. That speaks volumes about their personality, which we cannot ignore. Thank you, sir. As far as retirements are concerned, all of us know it's a pertinent moment for all of us. On the one hand, I'll be walking out from the corridors of this court with loads of nostalgia, which I shall be cherishing in the years to come, and that will what make me going. On the other hand, I'm quite excited about as to what the Almighty has planned in my second inning, because ultimately He has a game plan for all of us, whether it be the first inning or the second inning. And I'm sure with your blessings, He must have had made some plan which I fulfill to achieve with your blessings. Retirement for me is an occasion to express thanks and gratitude to all the individuals and personalities which have impacted my professional career, both as a lawyer as well as a judge. Now in this regard, the first thanks would go to the Almighty for giving me whatever I have, whether it is corporeal or non-corporeal, whatever I have, obviously, even though I may be a non-believer, but the credit must go to the Almighty. And then to my parents and my family. As you all know, I was an offspring of an interreligious marriage. And it is for this reason that my parents, and in particular my father, imparted two basic values in us. Number one, that there is no religion superior to the religion of humanism, insaniyat or manavta. You can't be a good Hindu, you can't be a good Muslim unless you are a good human being. Second value, always be secular in your approach, give respect to the religion of the other side. You may not be practicing your religion yourself, but you have to give respect to the believer of the other faith. Because according to him, religion was something very personal. It should be confined within the four walls of your house. It should not come on the road. The moment religion comes on the road, it ceases to be a religion. Now today, in retrospect, when I look back to these words, unfortunately my father is no more. How true are these words? And we are fortunate, I and my wife, that we have passed on these values to our children. As far as my professional journey is concerned, I may inform this August gathering that I joined this profession by default. I got admitted in the campus law center in Delhi University, which was supposed to be the premier institute because Bangalore Law School had not been set up by then. I was admitted, and I am fortunate to have been taught by the legal luminaries of those times. And to name a few, personalities like Professor Upendra Bakshi, Dr. Mool Chand Sharma, who acquired international fame. I distinctly remember Mr. K.K. Venugopal had come to the campus law center to address a workshop or a seminar, and the topic was professional skills needed for becoming a successful lawyer. Now when he came at the mic, he changed the topic. No, the organizers have not structured this topic correctly. Rather, it should be professional skills needed for becoming a good lawyer. Now at that time I was so naive, rather we were so naive in second year or first year that we could not understand the difference of what is the difference between a successful lawyer and a good lawyer. But when I entered the bar, obviously with the passage of time, I did acquire that there is a difference. So always it was a constant endeavor to become a good lawyer. Your today should be better than yesterday. Because unless your today is better than yesterday as far as your intellectual capacity is concerned, you are just stagnating. So that is why I always tell junior lawyers, your today should be better than yesterday as far as intellectual. For that you must go on constantly reading. Now obviously once I graduated, so obviously my entire peer was joining Jada Chanji and Company, which was a premium corporate law firm in Delhi. But I happened to visit some lawyer, a senior professor lawyer, for some review. He said, no, you have come to the wrong court. Go to the district courts where you hail from, and then gradually you rise to superior courts. At that time, probably I thought, well, it's a polite no. But in retrospect, I believe that unless a lawyer is exposed to the district courts, you cannot be a good lawyer. That is why I landed in Bareilly, which happened to be my hometown. My mother was and is still, she is currently aged 91, staying with me, a leading gynecologist of the town. So obviously getting an internship under a prominent lawyer, civil lawyer, was not a difficulty. And I joined the chambers of Shri Govind Prasad Verma, a prominent civil lawyer. Now this gentleman was a genius. Now, if you want to know, probably Mr. Saunders may be aware of it, and Mr. Naveen Sinha, senior advocate, Mr. Satish Dwivedi, that he way back in 1984-85, when I joined him, he used to come to the high courts and used to argue full benches. And one of the full benches which he argued on Order 15, Rule 5, is violative of the Central Act of 104 of 1976, is argued by him. So I had the privilege of getting a lawyer at my district. I joined his chamber, and the first sermon which he gives me is, forget whose son you are. If you want to become a good lawyer, first you have to become a good munshi. Because munshis in district court are accorded a very, very high status and respect. The clients are more interested कि भैया मुंशी जी से आप उनको बना कर रखिए, वकील साहब तो कहीं भी पहुंच जाएंगे. So that is how my journey started. Mr. Verma used to bring me to Allahabad. I was exposed to Allahabad. Unfortunately, he died. But the moment I was exposed to Allahabad High Court, this building, this magnificent building, I decided, well, now this is going to be my future destination. He died. Then I was taken up by his second associate junior who had already established his practice, a gentleman called Mr. Radha Kamal Saraswat. Now, whosoever has some Bareilly connection will know that he is a thorough gentleman, a proficient lawyer. He took me under his fold, where I picked up the basics. Pankaj, if you have to be a civil lawyer, then always try to be a defendant rather than be a plaintiff. So I acquired civil law, I learned civil law from these two chambers. Then, sometimes in 1988, my maternal uncle, Mr. Jagdish Mohan Pant, was the Administrator General Official Trustee over here. He said, why don't you come and take your chance? Come and stay with me. Well, I said, Mama, well, I'll come, no problem. I shifted, I was bachelor, I was not yet married. I shifted. He got me attached to a gentleman called Mr. Lalji Sinha. Probably most of you must be knowing that he happened to be the senior standing counsel for the railway administration, and those days the railways had heavy filing. So I joined his chambers, and there Justice Amish Thalkar was already there. So when both of us were elevated from the same chamber on the same day, probably I was told that it's some sort of a record in the annals of Allahabad history. Now, while working in the chambers of Mr. Sinha, I came across a senior gentleman, a very highly respected gentleman called Mr. B. Upadhyaya, a senior advocate. Now, my coming in contact with him changed my future, I would say. Somehow he developed a liking for me. I don't know what was that, but it was a mutual like, absolutely down-to-earth person, a humble person. He knew that I was desperately looking for work, but I was not in a position to ask for work. He came and said, Pankaj, there is an opening in Banaras Hindu University for a standing counsel. Would you be interested? Just imagine how many people are there to make you such an offer. Immediately he forwarded my name. Me along with Mr. B. Upadhyaya, senior advocate, we were both inducted, and that continued relationship for almost more than 20 years till my elevation. Upadhyaya ji was more than a father to me. And the best, and he used to always say, Pankaj, always ensure that justice should be tempered with mercy. Don't be too technical and pedantic in your approach. Because after all, a person has come to the High Court, the mere fact that he has come to the High Court, he should, if possible, just give him something if his case comes within the four corners of the case. So I got to learn. He also shared me. In fact, it so happened that I was more attached with seniors than people of my age group. My wife also used to say, well, you have already become too old. Why you are always associating yourself with seniors? Where are the young lawyers? We should have friends with young lawyers also. So I used to have my afternoon tea with Upadhyaya on a daily basis in that table, in that bar association. And he used to share me the anecdotes which he used to have, because he had interned under Mr. Gopal Suru Pathak and Mr. R.S. Pathak ji. So he had plenty of stories to tell us, which I enjoyed. V.V. Upadhyay ji, I came in contact with Mr. Vinod Kumar Upadhyay ji, the learned senior advocate, a fine gentleman, a suave personality, soft-spoken, whom I got to learn. And I can say confidently that whatever I am today, it's because of this gentleman. He taught me the values, never to enter into a confrontation. Politely and calmly place your submission before the court and then leave it to the court. Because I came from a school where I was taught by my senior in the district court, lose a case, lose a client, but never lose the court. Because I had a tendency of becoming brash, I must confess honestly, at times. But then he said, you have a good case, but just maintain your calm and cool. That was a great. Thank you, Mr. Upadhyay. Thank you so much for your kind words. Then another family which I came across was Mr. S.N. Verma, senior advocate. What a fine gentleman he was. His son, Mr. Sharad Verma, also spoke. In fact, God has stopped making persons like Mr. Sharad Verma. He also knew that Pankaj was worried. And he used to get me small briefs from his chamber, where the clients could not afford Mr. S.N. Verma. How many people are there who are willing to sacrifice all this? And the Vermas virtually adopted our entire family. I don't remember a single year, as long as uncle and auntie were alive, that they had not called us to wish on our birthdays and anniversaries. That speaks volumes of that great family. Thank you, uncle. Now coming to the institution. As we all know, the institution is not made of cement and mortar. The institution is made by the people who adorn this institution. All of us know who are those people. For us, we should always remember, especially the youngsters, that Constitution is our Bible. We are sown to the Constitution. We will live and die for the Constitution. I somehow noticed some decline, and to my mind it appears that decline is attributable to the absence of a chamber system. When we came, chambers was like a gurukul, where we were taught certain values. And one of the values which I was taught by Upadhyay ji was, never discuss the conduct of a judge in a public place. आज ये कोई नसीहत देने वाला है नहीं. I implore the senior advocates and the distinguished members of the bar to please focus on the issues. Because I find the lawyers, they just don't know how to address it in the chair also. At times, you pass a comment when they are not aware as to what the court is hinting at. So something needs to be done. I want to thank my wife, Samina, and my children, Aman and Sania, because I want to thank my wife particularly for the reason that she bore my enough tantrums, because I always refused to go with her out to have a cup of coffee or to a restaurant on account of professional compulsions. Very rarely I accompanied her. In fact, so now I think she will have, in fact rather I will have no excuse to say no to her. So that is one thing she can look forward to. I want to thank the registry for coming to my rescue, both professionally as well as personally. I want to thank Mr. Ashish Srivastava for registrar protocol, for always coming to my aid whenever I needed his help at a personal level. I want to thank my personal staff, without which I could not have completed this journey, and to name them, my 3 private secretaries Mr. Rakesh Singh, Mr. Nirpen Singh Rathore, Mr. Chandra Prakash, and my bench secretaries, Mr. Dilip Kumar Mishra, Mr. Rais Hashim, my law trainees, Mr. Digvijay Tiwari, Mr. Anurag Sharma, my driver Sushil Tiwari, my orderly Mr. Vinod Kumar, my PMs Om Prakash, Vijay Bahadur Yadav, Rupesh, Sachin, Rohit, and my PSOs Muhammad Aslam and Mevada. They left no stone unturned in acceding to whatever request I was made, howsoever illegitimate, howsoever unreasonable it was. If a work is to be done, they always complied with that request. Now, before I wind, I extend my sincere apologies with folded hands to all the members of the bar that inadvertently, if ever I have committed any impertinence, that should be just ignored. Let bygones be bygones. There was no intentional or ill feeling from my part, so that I should go with a light heart from this institution. I just want to add it with one couplet. मेरी हर सांस इस बात की शाहिद है, मेरी हर सांस इस बात की शाहिद है, दोस्त मैंने हर लुत्फ के मौके पर तुझे याद किया. On that note, I take leave, wish you all the best, all the very best, good health to you and your members of the family, and may God give you whatever you aspire for. Thank you. Jai Hind.